Oh, Jackie, I gotta be a pass.
We're on, Jackie.
Okay, fine.
Oh, is this a new one?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, everyone, I think we're live, so we're all ready to start. The mayor will be joining us shortly, so I am calling to order the committee of the whole meeting, October 21st, 2025. It is 5:04. Those who can, please rise and salute the flag. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Thank you. Can we please have a roll call?
Mrs. Bronsted Rizzo.
Here.
Mr. Caggiano. Absent. Mr. Kingston.
Here.
Miss Milbury Ellis.
Present.
Mrs. Monteroso.
Present.
Mr. Sinella.
Present.
Mayor Key. Absent.
Okay, so we have a quorum. We will start with the first order of business, which is any questions on the minutes from last month? Okay, moving on to warrants, any questions on those? Or comments? Nope. Okay, financial reports. You want to give us an overview first?
Sure, so there's two financial reports. First is the quarterly financial report. This is the least interesting of the reports that we do. But we're just started into the fiscal year. Basically here, we're affirming where we have budgeted the funds. I have a little asterisk because we'll be voting an appropriation of the carry forward tonight, but I embedded that into this report. And the numbers are basically saying, of course, we're in the black across the board and no series concerns. And the few accounts that are showing red and have nuances to them, I added some notes at the bottom of the report. So that's the quarterly report. The big thing is to see clearly we have an original appropriation, a carry forward appropriation. And in June, we voted to mobilize a portion of the district reserve. So that's also funds available to be spent this year, and we'll track them as the year goes.
Matt, may I? The available balance of 100,000 plus, a little bit here that I'm looking at on the first page.
100 million.
Oh, 100 million, excuse me. Does this mean that, I mean, I know that we've all been talking about the financial situation and, you know, looking into the future and the need to be conservative. I'm just wondering that when we're talking about availability and more spending, whether we're keeping that in mind and erring on the side of like, maybe we shouldn't spend additional funds.
Right, so this report is not a projection forward. It's a snapshot of what has actually happened in the first 3 quarters.
Okay,
So that's why I say it's the least interesting of the reports.
okay,
It's more setting the table for everyone to review this and say, I see that this is where we wanted the money to be available. I see that we've begun to spend it. We'll get through the vote tonight on the appropriation. We'll get through maybe the first 6 months of the year and then be able to start having reports saying, okay, where are we at as far as trending going forward?
okay.
This is more just a snapshot to make sure everything is where you approved for it to be, and it's happening in that way.
Okay, and so then when we get to that point where we're having to look at what we're spending, will you please remind us and tell us whether, you know, you agree with whatever it is that's being proposed or not and why, just so we have that, you know, reminder?
And I'll just add to what Matt already said. If you look at just, the total of what we budgeted, was the 131 plus the, little over 5 million. And then the 1.6 million that we mobilized out of the reserve. So we budgeted, really, you know, 139 and change. And so having that 100 million left means we've spent about 39. It's a little bit more than a quarter of the overall budget. We are a quarter through the year. We've spent a little more than a quarter because there are a lot of things that we go out to bid for or that we line up for the whole year ahead of time. And so that stuff's already been spent because the funding has been encumbered. So we're on track.
Okay,
Even though we're a little over a quarter of our budget is spent, we're on track for where we wanted to,
Okay,
want to
I
be.
understand, thank
Yep.
you.
I apologize, Mr. Cruz. I had my, my minutes to my Ways and Means Committee and I left them at home, my error. Could you tell me the exact amounts on the 155 carryover, because we were, in what account you wanted us to fund? I apologize. You gave it to me at the Ways and Means. I didn't bring my sheet. I apologize.
Yeah, yeah. You should have it for the next packet.
So bringing attention to the second financial,
Well, actually, before we go there, is there anything else on this?
Sorry. My apologies.
Alright, so now, so moving to the second financial item, the Ways and Means Committee met to recommend to the school committee as a whole how to appropriate the net school spending required carry forward flowing from last fiscal year into this one. So the recommendation of the Ways and Means Committee is that we do it as is shown in the second financial report. In the budget, we committed the 5.25 to classroom teachers, so that's set, and I'll do that work.
Where's the second? I'm sorry, I just want to make sure I'm following you. I have the general ledger detail.
No.
The second carry forward? No, this-
And then
This one
quarterly
is over now.
I
financial,
don't have that. It skips over that.
This one.
Yeah, I don't,
Should be
it's actually right there,
It's separate?
I can see it,
this,
yeah.
Yes.
See, either my error, attached to the other stuff.
okay,
So
thank you.
we moved on to the second document after the warrant, so completely skipping that
Thank you.
attachment. And the quarterly reports, the third.
Okay,
Yes, in the agenda, this was called carry forward appropriation.
Mhm.
So we're doing them in reversal. So, we had projected in the ballpark of the 5.25 million. Was our projection in the budget season. As things flowed through in the close of the fiscal year, there was actually 5.4 available to us. So tonight, the committee is going to vote where to appropriate those net school spending required unspent funds from the previous year to use this year. We've already committed the 5.25 in the budget process. We also committed 65 the last time we did this for the Lincoln Tot Lot, but that bid process flowed into the subsequent years, so we protected that money for this use. And with the remaining 145 and change, the Ways and Means Committee wants to assign 40 to an early childhood playground at the Beachmont School and to house the remaining in the tuition to residential schools, which is one of our accounts that's showing a deficit at this point. But again, we're not in a panic about that because we look at things in a series as a whole. So if we have 4 or 5 more residential placements, we'll talk further as the year goes on. Yeah, but
and this is sound spending?
No. What was that question?
I'm asking if this is sound spending,
What do you mean?
like, is this a smart,
Oh, like physically responsible.
fiscally responsible, spending?
We talked at the subcommittee meeting. And really the debate point was the 40,000 for the Beachmont early childhood playground. And my recommendation was that we not commit to that right now, because this is really tight. $155,000 is a lot of money to us, but in $140 million budget, it's a very small amount. And as Matt alluded to, we are seeing that we're a little bit upside down already in the residential placement special ed account. And that's something that we don't control. So if another student moves into the city who needs a residential placement, we have to spend the money to educate that student. It's going to put us more in the red. I am more comfortable with holding on as much as we can to what's left, not committing it to anything. So like Matt said, put it into the tuitions for residential schools. If at the end of the year it's still there, or if in February it's still there, and the committee decided then that they wanted to move forward with some kind of a spending plan for that money, or let it flow into next year as we move into the planning for the next fiscal year, that money would still be there if we don't spend it. But if we do need to spend it, it's also there for us. It's not committed to something else, but the subcommittee did vote to recommend to the school committee that you spend that $40,000.
And this will be a broader conversation at the 6 p.m. I do want to acknowledge the mayor is here, so I'll pass chairship to him, but first I'll pass it over to Ms. Bronson Rizzo.
So I was one that did not vote for it because we are in a tight situation. And the playgrounds that we have done in the past, we've gone through grants. What are some of the companies that we went?
Kaboom did most of it.
Kaboom was a big
Yeah.
one that helped us out. I'd rather see a team from Beachmont get together and kind of research that. Because the first that we heard of it was from John at the last meeting, because someone at Beachmont talked to him about it, and I think there's other pathways to go that the students can get something, but, it won't be as expensive.
Mr. Case? There's nothing there now. The other two playgrounds have something. I spoke to Miss Baker and she said because it's, because of the nature of the park, you're not gonna get a grant or anything, and Kaboom won't do that because it's, early childhood slash, kindergarten type of facility. It's not an open playground that the city of Revere uses. So, and the kids have nothing. The other two schools have something, those kids have nothing, and I really don't wanna wait, no, I don't think it's fair. It's just a question of equity for me. There's literally, I have pictures on my phone if anyone would like to look at them, there's literally nothing there. It's not like we're looking for an upgrade, it's not like the stuff there isn't the greatest, there's literally nothing there, except grass. So I don't think it's fair to those kids. I realize, money's tight, but money's probably gonna be tight in February. And, if you spend 40,000 on a playground, it probably will last a good 10 years, so that's 4,000 a year for the next 10 years. Buys you, some kids being able to go outside and, get some fresh air and have something to work with, as the other two schools do. Again, to me, it all goes back to equity and what's right. The other two schools have a playground, they don't. I don't know what I say to a parent when they say that to me. Oh, if my kid went to Garfield or Lincoln, they'd have a playground, mine doesn't. And I don't know what to say to that, other than, gee, I'm sorry. I mean, sorry doesn't really cut it, so.
And I was thinking if maybe there's a compromise that we can see here where, well, one, I would like to vote on all of these items separately when we get to the 6 p.m. For
Agreed.
the playground one, maybe for me, like I would feel more fiscally responsible if we said we're allotting the 30 or the 40 contingent on finding additional funding by a set date. And if we could all agree whether that's by February or March, then we give ourselves time to find spending that doesn't impact our net school appropriations. But we're also keeping in mind the need of the playground. And I think it's a more fiscally responsible compromise that meets needs and also keeps in mind the tight budget season that we're in. So we can talk more, but that's kind of the thought that I was thinking of.
Ms. Rizzo?
I would also like the people involved, whether it's Beachmont Early Childhood Director, to be the ones that let us know what they may need.
And an actual plan.
Right,
because
an actual plan.
it could be less, it could be more, but I still feel 40 is a little arbitrary at the moment. But at least it's, for me, at the same time, it's still a starting point, or we're at least
Mhm.
setting that apart. If we need more or less, then great. So it's a way to move forward while being responsible. So those are just my 2 cents for now, and then we'll do the decision. Yeah.
And don't forget that in these conversations, we're talking intention, not you must actually execute the purchase. So if it's the will of the committee to set this aside for that purpose intending, that's different than we've actually signed a contract or executed a requisition. It's an
So when we
intention.
vote for it, the intention is to use it for that. But we're not 100% committed to
Right.
using it if we can find funding
Right.
elsewhere or
Yeah.
something else.
The intention is meaningful,
Okay,
but it's not the same as we're executing a contract tonight for that. It's an intention. And in that case, things can change as we go through a process.
where did that amount come from? Like, how do we even know?
The 40,000, that Al Baker gave me that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she said that's like the minimum that's the minimum. I said, well, what's the minimum I could do? And she said 40 grand's the minimum. She said, once you get, once you've decided on some funding, she said, I'll work on a plan. She said, but 40 grand's about the cheapest that you can go. She said, I don't think it would be worthwhile to spend less than that. So I said, okay, so I said, that'll get me something, so something that's acceptable. And she said, yeah, so that's what the number didn't get picked out of the sky. That was based on what she gave me. And again, grants and stuff aren't gonna come for that because it's not a traditional City of Revere park that every kid in the city can use. It's kind of segregated, much like the Garfield's is and much like the Lincoln's is. They're separate. They're separate from the regular playground that the kids have.
But there are still grants and even
Yes,
earmarks
money.
possible, we could request. it.
Again, but there's not, my problem, I agree to a point, but like, again, there's literally nothing there, so the kids, I mean, so what, so even if we put this 40,000 aside in February or March, we send it out. With the way the process goes, and I'm not faulting anyone, it's just the procurement process, it'll be another spring that the kids don't have any. Because by the time all that, no.
Yeah, no,
by the
I
time
was,
all that
I was gonna
happens-
say, I don't disagree with you. I think that, and I hate to be the, you know, Debbie Downer here, but, you know, the truth is it probably, it probably won't happen. If the plan was in process today and it got thought of, you know, April 1st is the building season. You know, and God knows what would actually need to be done. You're probably not gonna see it in the school year regardless, if you were to start that process today. So I think it is good thought, it's definitely something that's needed, and I would agree. I think having a placeholder maybe would be great, but the only thing I would say is knowing how, I've been in those conversations before, yeah, probably like $10,000. And then it turns into 50 or 30 or whatever it may be, because they find you name it, right? You gotta put a pipe six inches into the ground, you know, you gotta go a foot, oh wait, there's a connection there. There's so many different things once you start moving anything that $40,000 doesn't get you a whole lot, but. I agree with Mr. Kingston, it's something that is needed. There's no reason we should have an early childhood learning area that doesn't have a designated space for them to get outside of the classroom. We know how important it is. So I empathize with that and I agree with it, but we're not signing a contract tonight.
No.
I don't think we're voting on a contract, but I think that we can all agree that we can kind of put a little bit of a placeholder for that money. And if things are great, fantastic. If things aren't, then in February or January, we're gonna know, and there's not gonna be $40,000 to hold anyway. So we'll know.
So we don't need that language of like contingent
We sh-
funding, because it's just,
Inherent in.
it's, yes, with Ms. Mulreal.
What was the word?
Right, and
Inherent.
in a case like this, we won't suddenly go execute a purchase order contract for a vendor and let you know about it 3 weeks later.
But we would have to it would take a month just to procure, you know, just to start documents to send out for procurement. So if Elle wants to start, you know, she works for us, right? And she works for the city, but planning department, and she's fantastic. But if she starts planning and thinking out a project internally, like an in-house project that then gets sent out, she can still do that. And then come with a scope of work and say, here's what I want to submit for procurement.
Mhm.
And in that time, we might be able to be closer to when we can commit to a decision. It may be something that we say, hey, we have to commit to a decision that's more than 40, might be less than 40, who knows, but she's done some small scope projects that have been great, and then there's been some that have been much greater, much more expensive, so. We can still start looking at in-house design work.
That
Yeah,
feels
that
a
would
little
be
better,
good.
because I thought it was like a
Done
time,
deal.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you all for explaining.
And-
So.
Also, when we, you know, it's never been the school committee that decided what's gonna go into these playgrounds, so if Elle could work with the people that are working with the students of what their needs are, that would be great. And then they can bring it all back to us.
Yeah, I think that it's simple as a messenger, an email to the people that are working in the school to say, what's your wish list? Kind of like we talked about.
Yeah, and I think.
What do you like? What do you need? You know, give us a priority and then gives Elle something to work with.
And I think to Stacy's point that she's trying to make is that there's an appropriate protocol for how we engage with people and talk to them about what they need and make those decisions. And that should be followed, and it shouldn't be sidebar conversations from individuals. It's a school committee decision. That this is how we're gonna pursue this money, and that's how it should follow. So my office can take the lead with Elle from here and work with her to put something forward.
Mr. Mayor. If I may, the only reason why, and it's not gonna be the last time that I asked that question of you, Matt, as to the soundness of our spending, is because we all are aware of the financial conditions that we're in and what we're facing. So in no means do I mean to be, the Grinch here and question a
Right.
$40,000 playground. I mean, I get the need, I want it, we need, I get it, that's all.
It's a teaching
That's,
job.
that goes without saying.
Yeah.
I think that we just need to be extremely mindful
Mhm.
of our spending. And whether it's 40,000 or 100,000, I'm gonna question it
Mhm.
and remind us all
Or
to
two,
be
or 2 million.
or 2 million,
It's-
to be
it-
thoughtful about this.
It is good to drill down. I think that we all know, and this is, we're seeing a little bit of a storm brewing, and that's been, you know, the national economy, but also we look at enrollment, we look at all of those factors, we look at costs, we look at, you know, new contracts, all of it folds up into one.
Mhm.
And, you know, we faced it this last budget session where we had to make some tough decisions with a number of things. We've been doing really good, but you know, I mean, April, May, you know, it is gonna start coming. We're gonna have to start planning on 2027, 26, 27 school year. And the hopes is we don't have to make a lot of tough decisions, but
We will,
we probably will,
we
right?
will, period.
I
We
mean,
will.
But like we're
even-
still on
we
the
will.
last year.
Yeah.
Right.
Even looking at special education, who knows where that's going right now? That might fall on Massachusetts itself
Mhm.
and us. And
Yeah.
right now, that, I mean, do I want kids? There's not one person in this room that doesn't want something for the kids outside to utilize their time. But when it
But it's
pick and
good,
choose,
you make a good point. It's good sound decision making.
So we can move on.
Sweet.
Oh,
Through you to that, I kind of went over what you had said about the added costs for tuition out. Are there more coming in, or are we in doing core evaluations, we're placing more out? Or is it a combination of all of the above?
Yeah, it's a combination, a constant moving target. So the only thing that we're putting before you with this quarterly report is there's a few more residential students than we had anticipated. And they come with a staggering,
Yes, we,
right? But if I was to go through the others, the tuitions to private schools, as at least at the moment, is well within budget. So within that series, you know, we can have savings in one area, cover a deficit in another area. So that's why if you never saw red, you would know you're not getting good numbers. When we give you the red, we also want to explain to you why we're not panicking about the red
okay,
in general. And
thank you.
can I just ask one more question about, when we were working on the budget before, we had mentioned that, Dr. Kelly, you had said that you guys already do this, where you offer the parents the option to drive their
Mhm.
students. We said we were gonna ramp up those efforts?
We did, yeah,
Have we
we said,
done
let
that?
us out to
Okay,
everybody
good.
again, yeah.
All right. And how's the response been? Same or
Pretty much
better?
the same, yep,
All right, thank you.
not much better at all.
All right, thank you.
the questions that we're asking here will be helpfully, clearly answered toward the end of January.
Mhm.
We can talk about them now, but without some more time of the fiscal year progressing and seeing what's happening on the funding side, it's hard to give answers to some of those questions.
Mhm.
So we'll get there.
Thank you.
The last financial thing, and this will be a second vote that you take at the full meeting. So we just had to do an update to our 403B plan document, which just guides our that whole program that's in place for staff to be saving and investing for their personal futures. So every 4 or 5 years, we update that to come in line with new IRS language. And you'll also be voting to add the ability for them to invest directly in Roth IRAs through our select vendors. So
so if we can pull that from the consent agenda and vote on it separately.
And then I think we have it listed as just one motion to amend, but the motion is to revise
Mm-hmm,
and then adopt the new agreement.
mm-hmm.
So it's two separate motions.
no, just one motion.
Okay.
You're voting to adopt this amended 403B plan document. Your adoption allows myself and the business finance staff to then with HR communicate to people what's available, to set up the deduction codes, to work with the vendors. But we don't have standalone authority to do that. It's the school committee or school board that needs to adopt the plan formally, and then we can go execute it. So you're just adopting the plan. The major change is Roth IRAs now being available in the portfolio of what's offered.
But who picks the actual vendor? Which, is there a list that they
Yes.
draw from?
Yeah, we have a list of approved vendors. And then those vendors will receive this communication and know what they can change for offerability to their staff.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have fun.
Food service. Nothing. Communications, nothing. Enrollment, none. Personal items, new hires. We don't have any new hires or terminations, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So the first page is just the teacher report to give you a little summary of the 4 teachers that we hired. And then the second packet has the whole list of all new paras, leaves, resignations, retirements, and transfers.
Anyone have any questions on? No? Okay. Great. Acceptance of donations and gifts. You have the Mass Cultural Council, $5,000.
Yep, so we have 3 different donations to talk about tonight. The first is a $5,000 grant from the Mass Cultural Council for the Susan B. Anthony. And you might recall that last month you approved 3 other $5,000 grants from the Mass Cultural Council. But the SBA wasn't included in it. They got their notification more recently. And they intend to use that money to expand their theater program. They're putting on SpongeBob, December 12th and 13th.
Yep.
And the students are also gonna attend the One Act Festival, where they put on basically like one act plays. And that's how those funds would be spent. The second one, we got notified from the state that we did receive an Innovation Career Pathway Implementation Award for City Lab, actually 2 of them. But basically, but we haven't got the exact information yet, so I can't tell you the amount. We're hoping it's gonna be, as it was in the past, about $75,000 for each. But that notification should be coming out soon, and as I'm saying this, I'm wondering, did they tell us not to talk about it?
I'm not sure. I don't know that amount, but
Actually, I think I know this. They made the announcements this afternoon down at the Mass Maritime Academy, because I hadn't invited staff, I couldn't go because we had this. So that would have been announced by now anyway. And we should find out in the next week exactly how much money that's gonna be. And then the third one, which we didn't get on to the agenda, but that I wanted to mention was that, you might recall that we had a partnership with, Science from Scientists, who came and sent scientists into the elementary schools and presented lessons to our students. It was one of the things that we had to cut with the budget cuts this year. And so, Science from Scientists was kind enough to go out and look for some grant funding for us. And we're able to secure a grant from National Grid for $60,000, which is enabling us to continue Science from Scientists at the 2nd grade level. So it's the only elementary grade that will have the program, but it's better than nothing. So we're very thankful to National Grid. And I wanted to include that, hoping that the committee will, when you do the acceptance of the gifts, will send them a thank you letter as we do to everybody else.
How much was that?
60,000.
And so before it was K to 5?
It was
think it was
Danielle,
5.
2 to
2 and
3.
then like 4 and 5, I believe. And we had they have been wonderful partners and they have worked with us
Wonderful.
in piloting different grade levels and different units. And they work with our teachers to provide professional development.
And which grade level were they doing this year?
2nd grade.
Just 2. Yeah, I remember my daughter was in fourth and 5th grade and she loved them. In fact, they like called to go to like a marsh one day, like on a school trip on the weekend. I dropped her off at the marsh and she was like, digging and doing science stuff with them.
It's cool, and they get to meet real scientists,
Real scientist.
you know, and it inspires a lot of them to pursue science in the long run.
Yeah,
Women
hopefully we can get
scientists.
get that back full time.
Yeah.
At some point.
That's it for,
We have field trips, as you mentioned. We already did the acceptance, yes, but field
Yep.
trips, get this.
The field trip, there's just one on the docket for your approval. It's the cheerleaders who intend to go to Grand Nationals in Florida next March. This is a field trip they've done in the past, but not in the near recent past. I believe there's one incorrect piece on it's number 5, where it says number of passengers, chaperones and teachers. Oh, no, maybe that is right, including chaperones and teachers. It's 25 kids plus 5 or 6 chaperones.
Okay.
So it's really like 32-ish people. And so they're seeking your approval now for a trip that wouldn't happen until March.
That 5
And then-
includes the 2 coaches.
They wrote it on here somewhere. I think it's 2 coaches plus 5 chaperones.
Okay.
Yeah, on the last page, 25 athletes, 2 coaches, at least 5 chaperones. That might include the 2. I honestly, a ratio of 5 to 25 is fine.
Yeah.
So.
That's great.
that's
And their reason I think they're asking now is they have to fundraise significant.
Correct, yep.
Which, of course. You know, I think we're all. okay with
Yeah,
that.
that's like
I can't
40,000, 50,000 almost.
see- That'd be
This
good.
is, yeah.
That'd be good.
13 to 1,500 each.
Do we contribute anything towards it?
They, I don't think the school is, outside, but we are, I know that they're doing a lot of fundraising.
Well, I mean, they usually.
I bought some popcorn,
athlete-
that's all I know is the
Athletes, maybe there's a little something that could be,
double good popcorn. It's delicious, so good. It's gluttonous. It's good.
All right.
Okay. Middle school exploration day.
So this is a new requirement by the Department of Education, and it actually comes from a mandate from the legislature that we make sure that all middle school students are aware of the opportunities that are available to them. So we've worked with a number of different groups at the state level. Desi gave us a template to begin our work with. And then we worked with the Northeast Voc, the team from the Northeast Voc, to make sure that we had everything encompassed here. And there's a whole program involved. It includes not only telling the kids about what's available to them, but also implementing the MyCap program, which is a free program from the Department of Education that we've already been using at a limited level at the high school. We've been transitioning from Naviance, which we had been paying for, to MyCap, which is a similar program but free. Obviously, the price is right. And now this includes a plan to start engaging kids in that MyCap exploration, starting in the 6th grade.
What is it an app?
Yeah,
What's
it's
the
like a
program?
go in and explore who you are and
Okay.
what your interests are. And when you tell it, you know, what things you're interested in, what you like, it gives you ideas on careers that would be aligned with what you like. And so the idea is that kids would start this in 6th grade. We include career days and all of that stuff that we already do, career days, college fairs, all of that. Keep doing all of that, and they would refine what they're thinking about and what their future might be from 6th grade to 7th grade to 8th grade to 9th grade, all the way up. So there'd be that progression. But also that when they're in 8th grade, they understand that everybody understands that there is a Northeast Vocational Trade School that we're a member of, and that that's something they can apply to. And that, you know, more about what City Lab is, which some kids don't necessarily get that information in advance of deciding what to do, while families might not be aware of it. And along those same lines, the ideas of the pathways that we're developing at the high school that'll be fully implemented by the time we get to the new building, which is 3 years from now. But the kids who are currently in 6th grade should be thinking about that and learning about that as they start to think about where they're going to be for 9th grade. And so this document that I gave you kind of lays that out, and it sets out a timeline for how we're going to help the kids explore, including tours of our schools and tours of Northeast. And then jumping into the MyCap scope and sequence, which Lillian Parker put together with the guidance team. And this is work that the kids would do during their advisory period.
Good stuff.
so is it saying that this isn't being done now?
A lot of it is being done now, but it's codifying for everybody. Exactly what we're gonna do. Like, this will be on the website, so a parent will be able to look this up and know what we're planning to do for 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade. And, we have to submit this to the Department of Education, showing that we have an actual plan that exists and maps out the curriculum for the kids and, all of those pieces. There are some places, Fred, where this isn't happening. From what I
It seems like
understand,
we're doing it.
yes, and we have a great
Now they're putting our
relationship.
hand in the fire.
Yeah, no, we have a great relationship with our vocational school that we're a part of. My understanding is there are some places in the state where there isn't that kind of relationship. And some districts where they're not telling the giving them the kids' addresses so that they can send mailers out to the kids, or letting the team from the VOC come into the school and present to the kids what they offer. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're kind of trying to separate it. And honestly, where that's happening, I can imagine that there are funding issues. And that people are thinking about, well, if all those kids go to the vocational school, then their funding goes with them. And so the regular K through 12 district isn't gonna have that money. There's there's kind of tension around that, and I think that's what the state
Well,
is trying to
vocational
eradicate.
education in general.
Correct,
Okay,
yeah.
all right, thank you.
Dr.
I
Kelly?
also, oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I just have a question. Is there somewhere on the website or a central location where high schoolers can go to see all of the different clubs and extracurricular activities that are available to them and middle school as well?
At the high school, they do the freshman fair. It's actually one of the things that the student rep is gonna report on tonight, was that they did the extracurricular fair, and that the freshmen, go through, and they have kids and adults from each of the clubs and teams. They had to talk about what they do. They do it in the cafeteria, but that's ironically part of her report tonight
Okay.
that she's gonna share. So that does happen. And then the middle schools, I'll have to ask them exactly what they do, but I think that they typically go around to the advisory periods and talk to the kids there about what the clubs and activities are. The opportunities for clubs and activities at the middle school are far more limited than they are up here at
The high school, of course.
Yeah.
Is it possible, I mean, not to throw more work on somebody else, but at some point, can we think about getting that information available on websites?
Yeah.
I mean, just as a parent, I'm like, I ask my daughter all the time, like, well, what's available? What are you interested in? I think if a parent can see what's there, they can use some
Guide their children
encouragement
better,
and kind of
yeah.
guide us.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good point.
Thank you.
Okay. The other thing that you have in your packet is the Google Classroom policy. So this is a new requirement from Google. They require basically that parents sign off on and give permission for their kids to use the Google education platform. So that's the Google Classroom, Gmail, all of that stuff that we use in our schools. And I can tell you, this is another thing that we worked on with other districts. They very generously shared their policies. And really they fell into, I'm gonna say, 3 different categories with how they dealt with this. There were some schools, some districts that said, forget it, we're not gonna use Google anymore. And so they didn't ask the parents for permission. There are other districts that said, we're gonna put it in the handbook. And when the parents sign off on the handbook, they'll automatically be signing off on this. And then there were other districts that did what I'm gonna say that we copied, because we did get this from other districts. And we felt like because it is something new and different and unusual, that we didn't want to just stick it in the handbook where it might be lost and people might not actually see it. So we decided to go with this strategy of putting it out in a letter to families. It'll go out in Parent Square so that they can get it in their home language. And there'll be a link through Power School where they can, and you can read the wording here, but you can click on this form and say, I don't want my child to be using Google Classroom. Or if you're okay with them using Google Classroom, do nothing at all and you're all set. We just didn't want to bury it, knowing that
In the
some
book.
parents might not actually read through the whole handbook.
It's the data collection.
Yeah.
I would just, the only thing I think is important to add is that all teachers are not required to use Google Classroom, because some teachers may choose to and some may not. And I
Correct,
know
yep.
sometimes parents have an expectation, so it's been pointed out to me by some parents that we don't specify that. So I think it would be good so everyone knows we don't control how teachers teach, and it's, not everyone has the same class.
Okay,
Has
got it.
Mr. Kingston.
What if someone did opt out? How does that affect their learning? I mean, how does the teacher pivot to get them?
They'd have to provide them with paper documents of the
Exactly.
lessons and
No,
the
just-
materials.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and that not gonna
That's
be a
it.
problem is all I'm trying to say.
And then,
No,
well-
I like this approach, cause
Yeah.
most people aren't gonna opt out, they probably won't even
Yeah.
respond, I would imagine.
And the challenge will be actually like, when I think about it from my classroom days, the challenge will be that those students won't be able to submit their documents electronically. They'll have to come and hand them to me. And then me giving them feedback might be a little bit more complicated than doing it. But, you know, we'll have to work around it.
Okay,
Yeah, but maybe that explanation should be put forth.
well, that's what I was,
If
that's
you
what I was,
do, if you do not, then X, Y, and Z, because
Yeah.
everyone's gonna plead, oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I think we put that in here.
I didn't see it, but I read it quickly, I'm sorry. You know, not being able to submit a document electronically or, you know, there could be some
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
issues if you don't
last
accept this, you know, in the sense, possibly.
It says, note that opting out may impact your child's ability to complete assignments, but it's our job to provide alternatives if people opt out.
Yeah,
So I think we need to revise that.
Yeah.
That's my, yes, that's why I was
That
asking.
may-
where are you
that
looking?
may
It should, the
will-
last, so if, where it says, if you do not want your child
Oh.
to use Google, the next sentence, please note that opting out may impact your child's ability to.
There it
It
is,
should be
yeah.
like electronically complete certain assignments.
Perfect.
Yeah, thank you. That was my point. Sorry.
So I'm okay with voting on this tonight and with the understanding that we're adding that and we're also adding in.
No
The-
requirement to
yeah.
use, yeah. Perfect.
Thank you.
Okay, that's it for me.
Any other business, late business? If I can bring up a couple observations, if that's okay. I've been at school the last couple of weeks, couple times, just either to have a meeting or there were a couple interactions with some educators. And the high school, I can just say that the use of the store device for these phones is amazing. And it's a game changer, and I think it should be noted that, you know, and I know that we have a distracted learning environment that's changing and we're doing that part. So my early observations is it's really been encouraging to see the level of engagement that our students have had with their teachers and vice versa. And just kind of calming things down, and I've heard it from a number of parents too.
And kids,
So, and kids.
Kids like that.
I was in the gym and one of the kids said, how's the school year going? And he was like, oh, it's great. It's kind of quiet. And I was like, that's a good thing. I mean, so I think that there's a lot of consternation with this policy and the use of the locker. It's been really good to see.
yeah, I'll
Good
be the
job.
first to admit that I might have been wrong about that a few years ago.
Yep, and we made a lot
We
of,
already told you you were wrong.
I know.
I mean,
Number 5.
and number 5, okay. Professional development, Mr. Kingston, is that you?
Yes,
I'm sorry, Mr. Kingston. Could you bring that up so that parents can hear the wonderful things that you just said?
Bring it up.
Yeah, and we can do it under what, old business?
Oh, during.
It
the
might
general-
be, if I can suggest, I believe that the high school team is coming to give their presentation.
Oh, even better.
And it's gonna
Better
be a
listen
big
to
piece
them
of their
and then-
presentation, and then I think it'll be a good time
Well,
to,
I'm gonna bring this up twice now, if I can, point of personal privilege. I do wanna, I don't know if I missed it at the beginning of the meeting, I wanna congratulate Papa Kingston on his,
Just
on his,
leave it from me, May.
on his grandchild Jordan. I got that right?
yes, you did. Thank you.
Jordan Kingston,
Not Jeff. Yes, very
not
good.
Jeff, not John, and his son is Jeff, and his grandson is Jordan. Congratulations.
And my daughter's great.
Okay.
We'll bring it back up on the recognition.
You can
thing.
do it on the regular, okay.
Thank you.
All right, number 5, congratulations, Papa.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's red.
Yeah. I have some questions about professional development on being in person rather than Zoom. On primary day, we had no kids in, no teachers in, nobody in. But the general election would bring in the teachers and paras here in person. We don't have enough parking spaces for them. I know you've walled off spaces for the voting, but there aren't enough spaces in the law to accommodate all the teachers and to accommodate all the staff, in my opinion. I hate to see the neighborhood impacted. I know in your email that you want people to go to West Riviera and park there. That's another voting place for, it's the only voting place for Ward 6. And parking is tight there as well. So we didn't have any school, we didn't have any teachers in for the primary day, yet for the general election, we do. So it's, I don't, and I know you're having a speaker. Is the speaker Zoom or are they coming in person?
The speaker is on Zoom with the 5-district partnership. It's another educational program we had to dissolve this year because of budget cuts, right? So we weren't able to continue the 5-district partnership as we've done the last many years, but we had already booked the speaker. So the speaker is still coming.
But
I
the
can tell
speakers-
you,
The speaker's Zooming in though, they're not here. I mean, the speakers are coming in person.
right, that's 1 hour, that's 1 hour and a half, 1.5 hours of the day, yeah.
Yeah.
The rest is in person.
Well, no.
But I
speaker-
can tell you that historically, and I know that this has recently been a trend with some of the elected officials in the city. But historically, we have had school and students and adults
Right.
every day, every time there was an
Right.
election.
It'll
And
still be that way.
I have done the
Should
very
be.
best that I can to work with the elections department. To accommodate requests that they have made about, for example, moving. The Ward 3 voting, reorganizing how Ward 3 is structured. Moving the location from the front of this building to the back of this building. And everything else, every request that the elections department has made of the school department, we have accommodated every time.
I guess
If
my
I'm
question is,
quite
could we-
honest,
my
I
question
feel a
is,
little
could we
bit
just-
harassed.
But in the future, for the next election, could we maybe flip the 2 days? So if we had no school on the primary day and no teacher?
My suggestion is that we have.
My
school.
suggestion
Every
is
time
you
there's an
have
election, we
school.
have school.
You should have school.
Okay.
We're putting thousands of kids and thousands of employees out of their space to accommodate voting, which I think is
voters.
absolutely one of the most important things that any human can do once they turn the age of 18.
Yep.
Maybe the city wants to think about using fire stations and police stations and city hall and the senior center, and all of these other buildings in the city.
Churches.
Churches to house their elections. Maybe that would accommodate everybody.
And we have,
If I can, I'll just jump in here for a second. One is. I guess part of the question, and again, I think that I have no problem having school. I think that you've always done a very good job and have been extremely generous with the space. I've never seen a parking concern, and especially since the carved out space. I did see, I mean, I'll just say, Central Fire, right? Central Fire was a host location I was a ward counselor. Central Fire had a voting location.
yeah,
You couldn't park anywhere. You were at Walgreens, you were across the street, you had to go down a narrow hallway,
Voted.
past the fire truck, alarms going off. It was wild, right? American Legion, not a lot of great parking. So having some of the central locations mixed, like one, Hill School doing I think has been exceptional. SBA, exceptional. People going to North Revere, again, a fire station, really, really tough to park. So I think it's been great. You've been very accommodating. I think that it's just, and I agree with John. It seemed odd. Was there a reason that there was that there was no school on the primary day? Was that because of the election? I'm just asking.
Yes,
So, okay, gotcha.
because this
But then-
committee voted that there
But-
should be no
yeah,
school
I
that day.
Then for the general, we're in,
Not
so
me.
that's the part.
Right, and
So-
even for the general election, this committee voted there would be school that day. That's always been a professional development day for 30 years. The main election day in November has been a professional development day in the Revere Public Schools.
I was just asking.
And any other voting days were not because they were regular school days. Kids were in and adults were in. And as people have pushed in a different direction, I have done everything in my power to accommodate that push.
and you know what, and not even, this is very trivial to the aspect of education. But our PTOs and PTAs always had their bake sales on that day, and that's where they made a
Right.
bulk of their money to support the kids with field days and stuff, and they haven't had that.
No, they haven't.
John, what's your concern that there won't be parking?
No, I got some, I don't know
Well,
what
there's
to call
no-
it, just
there's
walking
no-
around, because the thing that was said to me was, you had primary day, and you had no school, no one in, and now the general election you are in, just, couldn't you have flipped the two? And that's why I want to have the conversation, because there's no mayor's race this time, and if the people decide to have school, I don't have a problem with that. It's just, it was kind of funny, for the primary day, we didn't have anybody in, and for the election, we do. If you just think about it in that context, it doesn't, it's not making sense, it didn't make sense to the people that spoke to me when I was walking around campaigning, and it didn't make, and I had no, if I'm presented with something, I can present a reasonable argument, well, gee, we did it for this reason or that reason, I get it. But I didn't have a good reason to say, gee, other than I don't know.
Well,
So-
John, you voted for it when you approved the school calendar. You should have thought about it then, and then that would have been your answer to your.
I thought, be frank, I'd be honest, I thought the professional development was gonna be in Zoom, and I didn't express that point at that time. Yeah, no, that's on me, yeah.
And I'll also say, in your defense, in everybody's defense, hindsight is 2020.
Mhm.
Nobody knew when we were voting the calendar last January that the
That there'd be
primary
one
election would be one Lord.
Yeah, no, it's not,
The
that
one
wasn't even the
thing
case,
they-
it's just, we were all out, just think about it this way, we're all out for the primary, but we're in for the general.
We should all be in period. That's
No,
all.
that's not my-
And I think we should revisit that, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Well,
with you.
that's something we can certainly revisit. I mean, next year we have, governor's elections.
Mayors.
Yeah,
The
let's
year
visit
after,
that
the year
beforehand.
after, and I'm in the same agreement, you go all one way or another, and, so, but we did vote on the calendar, and this is what it said, and I'm just gonna say, it's not our decision whether it's in person or not.
No.
No, I know it is,
You know,
I just got
do
too
with
fucked
this.
because one was in and one was out, and I said.
They should make Saturdays a voting day.
They should make one day and it should be a
Saturday.
holiday, I agree with that, it should be a holiday.
There you go.
I just vote
Last thing I
Saturdays.
was gonna say, Mayor, is if we all talk about this before the next election, because it's not city council, like the elections commissioner sets the polling locations, not any elected officials.
That's enough.
So maybe as a committee, we could send in a letter to the elections commissioner asking if they can consider other places. Like, I think the VFW should be the polling location and not the Beachmont school. Some people
Well,
have to
again,
drive
it's-
in
You
there.
have to pay for it.
Again, and I don't wanna muddy the waters here, and it's not, it's everyone. We have it here one year, then we switch it again. The worst thing, and this is what I spoke personally to the election commission, I said, listen, I have no stake in this, in the game here. This was a request, we submitted it, and it was almost very agitated. And this is a commissioner's decision, and moving a location over and over again is the
It's
worst thing you
not.
can do if you wanna have turnout.
Yeah.
It's the worst thing you can do if you don't wanna confuse people. People that know that, so we had it, a lot of the changes we made due to the pandemic. We had them in nursing homes, we had them in firehouses, we had public safety laws, we had them in highly susceptible areas. We changed that and tried to condense some of the locations. On top of it, think about it, right? You got one election commissioner and a lawyer and a couple other people running around every time, every time a
Good point,
person
Tina.
calls and says, there's
an issue.
there's a suspected issue in Ward 5 Precinct 1. They all run over there to verify or whatnot. There's a ballot stuck in a machine.
Mhm.
And at the same time, they're getting called to the west side of the city, the east side. They're running around like chickens with their heads cut off.
It's true.
The more locations, the harder it is to manage. That's why some cities have it all in one location, all the town
Every
hall.
town.
Or with it being in the schools, I just feel like the kids should be,
So
everyone should be in
we
school.
really should stay out of that and let the elections commission do what they do best. And we should, and.
Okay, but we can vote on whether or not we want the kids to be in school.
Also, maybe a conversation with you, her, about how can we make it easier for all parties?
They have a
I think
commission
she
and
would listen.
They have a
Yeah, we get
commission.
along, we've had great conversations already with Danielle and she has told us what we needed, what she needed. And we worked with her to make sure that there was what she perceived to be ample parking reserved at the back of this high school. For
You
that,
did
we
it.
worked with our transportation department to make sure all the buses are gonna be moved. We are suggesting that people park between here and the West Revere because we're gonna run a shuttle back and forth, up and down in a loop. We're gonna let people park at the Lincoln School and at the Hill School. Para is gonna be located at the Beachmont School, not here, in order to reduce the number of people. We worked with food services to make sure that they have the lunch and breakfast that we're gonna have up here. We've done all of that work. We've done all of that work.
All right.
With that motion to adjourn,